Alright boys, welcome back to another video. Knicks Daily here. Tonight we're going to be reacting to the team's 125 to 115 victory at Indiana. The Pacers had won 5 straight games against us at home, so this is one we just had to get. Not to mention as well that Indiana is the 4th seed, we're the 3rd seed, so now that of course separates us by one more game. And last and most importantly, the Knicks were under 500 against teams with winning records this season, 11 and 12. Coming into it, they're now 12 and 12. I understand that sounds bad. Oh my God, the Knicks against good teams are neutral. But at the same time, we haven't seen this team fully healthy. I mean, guys have been in and out of the lineup. The biggest one being Mitchell Robinson. And once he comes back, it's definitely going to change everything. I think the Knicks are going to be able to match up with the team's best teams because Mitch's elite rebounding ability and certainly rim protection, right? He can grab offense rebounds, but he also blocks shots, can catch lobs. He just gives a different dynamic that we don't have. But honestly, I think this was one of the best wins of the season. The one thing that sucked about it was Jalen Brunson had 8 points. If you didn't see this game, the reason why Brunson had 8 points was not because of foul trouble. That's what everyone's going to think. He had 5 fouls. He did have 5 fouls early on. But at the same time, the reason why Brunson only had that was because of Indiana's defense. Like, you got to give them credit. I know he absolutely shredded them in the playoffs, but they had a good game plan established. It's just unfortunate for them that they couldn't stop Cat and Hart. I mean, these two guys just took over. Cat looked like a man possessed. We should not have won this game. Literally, the only reason we did was because of, I'm not going to say only those two guys, because I thought we got a great game out of Payne, McBride, and Shamit. I thought all three of those guys off the bench stepped up. This was one of our best bench games of the year. But I mean, Cat just took over. This was literally, like, I would say Cat's best game. The one against the Wolves might have been. This was right up there, though. I mean, 40 points, 14 of 23 from the field. Cat just got to the basket at will. No Miles Turner, so we took full advantage of that. 12 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals. I mean, 4 offensive boards. I mean, they had no answer for Cat. I mean, literally, he was unguardable. He was in takeover this entire game. And then Josh Hart had 30 points on 12 of 16. Knocked down his first 3. He actually airballed a 3, which is kind of funny. I mean, Hart even was laughing with the crowd. Yeah, but Josh, just look at the offensive rebounds. 2 of them both came, of course, with putbacks. He just cut as well, and it's just so difficult to defend Josh Hart, too, because of his IQ and his ability just to slip off of screens and fake one way, go the other. And the Knicks have some good passing bigs. Precious can pass it, and so can Cat, and we know Mikhail and Jalen can, too. Yeah, but Hart, I mean, just was absolutely on fire. 30 points, 10 boards, 5 assists, a steal, one of his best games of the year. He really came to play. So did Cat. Unfortunately, Brunson it was a weird game. I mean, I don't think I've seen Brunson that lackadaisical all season, but I mean, it is what it is, though. It really wasn't like a bad game. I mean, 7 assists is about his average. He had a couple of rebounds. It just was an off game. I mean, yeah, it was a bad game for Brunson standards. Obviously, he'll be the first to tell you that, but I don't think he put the Knicks in a situation, though, that hurt them, because even when Brunson came off of the floor, they actually were better. And the reason for that is Cameron Payne had 9 points and 8 assists, timely buckets as well in the fourth quarter. And then Miles McBride had 15 points, 4 of 4 from 3, plus 25. This was definitely McBride, Deuce's best game of the year. I mean, last season, he was giving us consistently double figures. This season, he's been having trouble getting there. I mean, if we pull up his average, he's probably around 9 points per game. 9.1, yeah, zero point 0.1 off. I mean, you wouldn't think that, though, if you watch McBride this year. He just has been off. And this was a game that I believe will get him back on track. I mean, he was phenomenal. McBride also blocked a shot, had an assist and 3 rebounds too. And then Shamit was 5 of 9. Didn't shoot the 3-ball particularly well. Did knock down a big corner 3 late in this game. But he just got to the basket and finished. He also gave 4 assists. I mean, Shamit, if he can continue to play like this, should be a part of the Knicks rotation. The question is, can he? Right? Can the Knicks bench keep this up? If they can, I mean, we're going to be that much closer to winning a championship. A large reason why, the main reason why the Knicks are 500 against good teams is because of the lack of the bench. But Tibbs just has to trust it as well. Like 42 boards, 2 turnovers, and 6. Man, it's a quiet game for him. I mean, Cat was just so on tonight that there was no reason for Porter to even be out there. You wanted to keep Cat out there as much as possible, especially without Brunson. You don't want too much of Cat and Brunson-less lineups. And then let's see who else. Precious Achiuwa, I thought, had a good game. 9 points, 12 boards, 5 of them being offensive, 2 assists with a block. Precious, obviously, he's a bench player. OG's not out there, so we go with Precious. But it's clearly missing OG is a big thing just because of his ability to space the floor, and he could put the ball on the deck and go get a bucket. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to those Mitch Precious lineups. I think they're going to be interesting and getting healthy too. But I mean, to go on the road and to beat Indiana, who hadn't lost back-to-back games since December, definitely is very, very impressive. Without OG, you're the guy who got the highest contract in Knicks history, and then of course Mitchell Robinson, who's as important to our team as anyone, right? So I'm happy with the win. I legitimately think this is one of our best wins, just because it was one of those games where the Knicks shot 37% from three is about league average, but it just didn't seem like the Knicks really had it going early on, but they just won it because of their hustle, their grit, and their grind. And it reminded me a lot of last year's team. Like, I don't think last year's Knicks team was the most talented team in the league by any means, but they just competed, and that's exactly why they got so far. They won 50 plus games or 50 games, and we got to a game 7 in the second round despite those injuries. Isaiah and Devo and all those guys. It was a fun game, man. Really good win. The question for the Knicks, though, is going to be, can they do it one more time? Because it felt like a lot of guys on this team are looking forward to All-Star Weekend, just to getting that break, which is much needed. Because, I mean, they're professional athletes. They're working every day relentlessly. But there's one more game. The Knicks cannot drop this. After losing to Boston, that puts you a game behind them even more when you already were a couple of games behind. So the Knicks have to now catch up, because you really want to get the 2 seed. If you're the Knicks, you'd love to get the 2 seed, which would give you home court throughout the first 2 rounds, versus, hey, look, okay, you're the 3 seed. Well, Boston and Cleveland certainly are not getting knocked out in the first round, so you're going to be taking on, one of them or whatever on the road. The Knicks can still win that. I mean, you look at New York. I mean, they are unbelievable on the road. I mean, 17-8. The Knicks are actually better on the road than they are at home. So I guess you look at that, but obviously having MSG behind the Knicks is huge, and you get to the conference finals. I mean, anything can happen to that point. So that would be big. Certainly would help. But yeah, I think right now it's just going to come down to the bench. I'm not worried at all about the starting 5. What can you get out of Payne, McBride, Shamet, Hekporty every single game? Because the Knicks, I mean, nobody's relying on their starting 5 more than the Knicks. I mean, the Knicks, if I looked up the stat right now, I bet the Knicks would be towards the bottom of bench scoring. And in terms of minutes, I mean, Mikhail number 1, Hart number 2, OG was 3 before the injury. Cat and Brunson are also both in the top 10. So the entire starting 5 is playing a bunch of minutes. My bad guys literally just ate dinner and had hopped on this too. So yeah, there's a lot of work to do. I'm not trying to tell you guys that the Knicks are close to a championship, but with OG and Mitch coming back, OG will be back the first home game following the All-Star break against the Bulls. Mitch should be back in March. I don't know when. He's targeting March 1st. I highly doubt that will happen. It'd probably be closer to the playoffs, but getting those guys back, getting more out of the bench is going to be the difference from the Knicks, of course, being another second-round exit versus winning a championship. But it's not going to be easy. Cleveland and Boston, to me, are much farther ahead than the Knicks, but there's a lot of season left. I mean, we're talking about how many games have the Knicks played? So what? The Knicks are 35-18. What's 35 plus 18? That's I don't know, 53. So 82 minus 53, that's 29. The Knicks have 29 more basketball games left. So they gotta win these, man. They gotta win them. I mean, honestly though, the seeding really doesn't matter as long as we're healthy going into the playoffs. But it's so difficult to win a championship, as we all know as Knicks fans. We haven't won one since 1973. We haven't gone to one since 1999 or 2000. So having home court through MSG would be huge. Not too worried about Cleveland. I think I confidently can say the Knicks would beat the Cavs in a 7-game series. I think they're much better right now, but with Mitchell Robinson, that's just a matchup nightmare for Cleveland. So I think we'd beat them. But in terms of the Celtics, that's going to be the thing. Boston's going to be hard to beat even with home court. As we saw, they beat us by 30 in our building. But we'll see what happens, man. Next daily, smash the like button, subscribe.